Zondervan presents Above the Line, Take 3 by Karen Kingsbury. Read by Paul Baymer, Gabrielle De Cuir, Roxanne Hernandez, Don Leslie, Stefan Rudnicki, and Judy Young.
Andi was sick of lying to herself. After her first night with Taz, the two of them spent most of the next week in each other's arms. But then he began making strange excuses and standing her up. He was working on another film, he told her, something that would take up most of his summer. It wasn't until one afternoon when she was walking from the library to the cafeteria that she saw Taz arm in arm with a petite brunette. Andi was almost certain she recognized the girl, and as they came closer, she knew where she'd seen her. The brunette had been part of the ensemble in Scrooge, which could only mean one thing. She was Taz's new actress, his new project. He was probably telling her that true beauty came from using her body as art, or something like that. Andi watched the way the girl gazed at him, how she laughed and giggled and walked close to his arm. The picture burned an image in her mind and tortured her late at night. As the truth dawned on her, Andi could think only one thing. Bailey's warning had been right after all. Now Andi had no one but herself to blame. She was a fool, and her heart was broken in half. She couldn't eat or sleep, and she felt nauseous nearly every morning, drowning in the heartache of all she'd given up, all she'd lost to a guy who'd played her for a fool. Taz was a fraud. Everything he'd told her had been a lie, and once Andi admitted that much to herself, she knew she could move on. She was still devastated, but at least she wasn't waiting for his call while he was out sleeping with someone else. The next lie was harder to handle, the one she'd been telling herself. The lie that the physical changes in her body could all be explained by a broken heart. The headaches and nausea, the vomiting some mornings. Her symptoms were too strong to be merely a physical manifestation of heartache. Finally, on the last day of May, she drove to the local pharmacy and bought something she had never planned to need until well after she was married. A pregnancy test. She took it home, read the directions, and then drew a deep and steadying breath. In 2 minutes she'd have the results. Results that, whatever they were, would change the rest of her life.
Bailey grabbed her brother's duffel bag from the hall closet and raced back to her bedroom. 15 minutes until she had to be on the road, headed to Lake Monroe for the Campus Crusade retreat. She'd been waiting for months for this weekend, but her history test for her summer course at Indiana University had run late, and now she was scrambling. She felt frantic as she grabbed a pair of jeans, a few t-shirts, and a hooded sweatshirt. She looked around her room, and her eyes fell on a framed photo of her and Tim. For an instant, she didn't move or breathe or remember what she was doing. Why did the picture bug her? It was taken on opening night of Scrooge last winter, she and Tim both dressed in their costumes. But something about his eyes wasn't right, like she was any other fan, lucky to have her picture taken with him. He was her boyfriend, but his expression would have been the same if she wasn't in the picture at all. Focus! She turned her attention back to the bag and picked up where she left off. Socks, her Bible, the journal her mom gave her for the trip, half a dozen other necessities, and she zipped the top. Tim was attending the retreat for sure, which was good. They needed to talk. Bailey hoped time alone at the campsite would bring them closer to God and each other. Something to help her remember why she was dating him when her heart couldn't stop thinking about...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?